Okay, so we got the database or XAMPP installed and everything, and we can use localhost if we want to, and PHP my admin. You should bookmark this so it's easy to get there. If I push enter now, you won't get anything, and you can wonder why. Well, you gotta start the control panel. A lot of times you make that mistake. So if I push the shortcut here, it auto started the Apache and MySQL. So now I can reach my PHP, my admin here in localhost. Alright, so we got this, and now we want to create a database. That's the first thing we want to do. No, the first thing we want to do is we want to change the password, so you know how to do this. You don't need a password in localhost, but you will have one when we do it in production in DigitalOcean. So why not have a password here that you will change later when you put it live. So what you need to do to change the password for your database is you go to user accounts here, and you check for your root localhost here, and you edit privileges. You have this option here, change password, and here you put a new password. So we're gonna put 1111. There you go. When I push go now, you won't be able to exit here when I push go. You see here, ignore all. If I refresh the page, it's an error here. So we need to do one more thing here, and that is to go to our directory where we installed XAMPP, and I put it in filer XAMPP, and here you have a folder called PHP my admin. We go to this one, and we want to enter config.inc PHP file. So I open this one, and 1 second here, I'm gonna get Notepad++ up. There we go. So now I got config.inc.php up, and you see here we got the different options, and the password here we're gonna put 1111 like we did when I changed it in up here. So I saved this now, and if I refresh the page again, you'll see that we're in the database again. So now we changed it, so the password is going to be 1111 now. I can close this one up, and we don't need to come back to it now then. Alright, so we want now to do a PHP which connect to the database. We should probably also create the database. So we push new here, and we want to give the database a name. We put in first DB like that. I push create, and we created our new first database here. And we want to fill this with tables and information. So we call this table for users. Push go. It says you can well, anyway. So the first one, ID. It's always a good thing to put an ID which we auto increment. Auto increment is the thing where if you put in a new row, it's gonna auto increment with 1. So every table should have that one. I will put in name and email, and we're gonna have varchar, and we put 50. This tutorial is not so much about, you know, everything like varchar. What is that? Well, it's not numbers. It's any char you can imagine. So you need to know a little bit here. I'm gonna put this in, and then you need to read up on this if you don't know about this so much. I'll hit save. And now we created a table. Now we want to fill it up with something, so I'm going to insert, and then I'm going to insert a name here, and it's going to be my name, Ronnie, and I'll put in an email1 at mailinedit.com. I don't fill this one out because it's going to increment by itself, and you shouldn't put in anything there. We have another one, Emma, and we put in email2 like that. Now I want to do this, so I push go, and I'm gonna enter these 2 rows now, like that. So if I push users here again, you'll see that we have 2 rows. Perfect. So now we want to connect with a PHP and get the information from this table. I'm also gonna show you how to put do an insert as well here, just for, so you can see how it works. So we start with the PHP, so we know that we got a PHP code in between here. I'm gonna save this file. Actually, let's do it like this. In the last video we looked at where we should create our folders and stuff like that. So under X, which was my where I changed the root folder, now I've created a folder called test and my project here. So we want to create a file in here, so I right click on this and I create a new file, and I'll call this connect to database. And I also need PHP because that's what we will have here. And I'm gonna take away this one. All right, so now PHP. There we go. So now we know we have a code here, the PHP code. So what I will start with is define, and this is just to give you or create variables that you don't need a $sign for, like this. So DB server, and we're gonna say it's localhost because that's that's what you do. And we can copy these, and we're gonna have DB user, which is the user, and the user is root. When you install the XAMPP, you and wherever you install these things, the default is root somehow. So we that's what we got there. The password we set for the database was 1111. We changed that. So there we got that one. And the DB database, what did we call that one? Well, it was DB first, I think. Was it first DB or DB first? First DB. First DB. And the last one is the host, or the driver, I mean. So the driver is mysql. That's what we use. So we got our variables, and now we want to connect to the database, and that's how we do this, is by doing the following. So we have a variable called db, and it's equal new PDO. And you really don't need to know everything about this. You can just copy everything of this and don't ask too many questions about it. This is just to get it live, connect to the database, and put it live. So instead of writing all this up, I'm actually going to copy the things because I have it, so why not copy it? So this is what you should have. 1 second. Right there. So you see here, we got DB driver, that's MySQL. And you got the database, it's right here. DB name equals, and it's first DB. The host is DB server, and it's localhost. The char set is UTF-8, and that's for, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. And DB user is the root, and DB password, it's 1111. So that's that's how we put this in. So this is DB equals new PDO. So we create a database and connect to it like this. We also setting some other stuff to it, and it's these two. And we also need a semicolon there, like that, I think. Actually, I'm gonna do this. I think I missed something, so I better do this. Let's check it out. Yeah. You need the parentheses there, a semicolon there, and then we have a new line here, and set attribute and all this. All right. So this is how we connect to the database. And now if we want to do queries to this database, we will do that with this variable here, which is our database, or contains our database. So the first we will do here is we do result, and we're using the query function. And we put our query here, and it's gonna be select everything from users, that's our table, and we can also have order by ID if we want. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but why not order by ID? Like that. So we do this query, and now we have that query, but I will do another variable that is query, and it's equal the result, and we do the function fetch all, and PDO fetch ASOC association, like that. Okay, so there you have it, and now we can extract things from this query here. We can look with var dump what we got here. So let's do var dump. You can't do echo here because it's an array. So if we do this, I save this, and I will now also right click on it and do the full path to clipboard, open up a new window like that, take away everything from the X and to the left, and put in localhost and push enter. Undefined variable result. So let's look at line 11. And what do we got here? It's we need obviously DB here. So we're using DB, and we're doing the class like that, and we're also going to have an equal sign here like that, because we're doing this query and we're putting it in the variable result, and then we're doing with the result with this function here, fetch all. All right, so save that and do refresh, and we get the array here with var dump. Now we can extract if we want something. So let's do echo and break row like that, and so we get it on another line, another row, and echo query. We want the first row and we want the name. So the first row and the name, and it should be Ronnie if we look at the database right here. First row is this one, name Ronnie. All right, so save that and do localhost again, and you see that Ronnie, we got Ronnie here. Perfect. And let's just look at insert as well here. So we do this by using the DB, and we're using the function query again to query the database, and we do an insert here insert into users. Should do this like that. Users, and we will put in name and email, and the values we're gonna put in is Stina. Like this, and we're gonna put in email 3, and I need these ones as well. Email 3 at mailinator.com, like that. That's it, I think. Semicolon, and save and do it again here. So what do I expect now? It's going to be the same printout, but we will find another row here. So let's do refresh. Did I do it? So I'll look at the table users here, and you see Stina here. All right, so perfect. We got that going now. So, well, we looked at how to create this database now, and we will create exactly the same database on DigitalOcean. We're actually going to copy this and put it to DigitalOcean, and that's how you want to work with the database. You work locally, and then you export this database to DigitalOcean, where we're going to put the production. So yeah, that's it. So hopefully I'll see you in the next video, where we will do everything live then, because now we've done everything we need, and now we just want to put this live actually. Okay.